What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com, and a very happy new year to everyone. Obviously, it's been a pretty quiet, I suppose, turn of the year. We've had obviously some matchups made, some matchups fall out, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I think in general, it's been kind of a downtime for everyone. I know lots of probably people listening to this, and lots of fans of the sport of mixed martial arts have really missed it. I know myself and a lot of people covering it have kind of been glad of the break, to be honest, because we don't get it much. But I think everyone's a little bit revitalized now, and we're ready for the fights to get back this weekend again. My KSW preview, I think, will probably already be out by this stage. And I'm sure there'll be the lads will talk a lot about the UFC as well. I want to talk a little bit about the UFC this weekend towards the second half of this video. But what this is really about today is the UFC's Featherweight Division. Now, I said there hasn't been much news, but I suppose the biggest news in the last week or so is the matchmaking of the Featherweight Division. You know, first we had Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski in the third fight in that, and I'll talk a lot about that in a second. And then we obviously had that possibly changed to Sung Jung. I suppose maybe by the time this comes out, it might have been confirmed. But my thoughts here, and the reason I wanted to talk on this video, are about the matchmaking in the Featherweight Division and what it's been like over the last few years. Now, to do that, I'll actually go through the fights that have actually happened in the Featherweight Division in a second. But to me, this division is a division full of talent. A division with lots of really good fighters down through the years. People who have been, up there in like prospect of the year, new contender of the year types of discussions for years and years, going from the likes of, whoever Kattar back in the day to the likes of, maybe Kattar a few years ago, to the likes of Giga Chikadze, who we'll see this weekend fighting now. And it feels like, it just feels like that a lot of those contenders have either missed out on title shots, ones that were there a few years ago. Someone like, say, Mirsad Bektic, who maybe could have got a title shot at one stage, or even a Cub Swanson at one stage towards the end of his run. But other lads coming through like Zabit and Yair now and others, that no one has, very few people have actually emerged to get those title shots. And to kind of prove that point, let's look at the fights that have happened over the last few years. So Jose Aldo became the undisputed champion back in 2010, and he fought Hominick, Florian, Mendez, Edgar, Sung Jung, Lamas, and Mendez again. So Aldo came in and he fought everyone. Now, he fought twice in 2011, once in 2012, twice in 2013, twice in 2014. So a pretty active champion. He had these injuries in there as well. He had time out of the cage. Not the most active champion in UFC history, but he had a good few fights. And he took on, the who's who in that division in terms of contendership. And then Conor McGregor came along. And now, a lot of people probably blame Conor McGregor in totality for this division maybe being held up for long periods. And he definitely has a part to play. He definitely, if one person got the largest blame, it probably would have been Conor McGregor. But I think the matchmaking in this division over the last few years has just not helped in that. And if you look at what has happened, you can see that. So McGregor beat Mendez first for the interim title, and then beat Jose Aldo, who had himself beaten Frankie Edgar before. Then McGregor has gone away for a while. They do the interim belt. And who is it? Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar. Two guys who have obviously fought for the belt before. One former featherweight champion, obviously another former lightweight champion. Then Jose Aldo becomes the undisputed champion. McGregor is stripped of the title. And then he fights Holloway. After Holloway obviously fought Pettis. So Holloway is that new blood. And that was in, let me just look here. It was in 2017. So that fight happened. Then someone else was supposed to fight for the title. Then Jose Aldo got the title shot again. So, we've had Aldo beaten, Aldo back. Aldo beaten, Aldo back. And then Brian Ortega got his shot. So we'd have been a new life. We obviously had Max Holloway coming in, winning the title. And then we'd new life with Ortega. But what had we after that? With Frank Edgar getting another shot. Right? And I feel like around that time, that's 2019. And around that time, it felt like there was lots of lads there. It was like, Frankie is a very good fighter and earned his way to the title shot, no problem. But other people could have been given it at that time. Like, you gave Ortega, it felt like Ortega was a turning point in that division. And it wasn't. You know, Edgar came after. Then Volkanovski came after. And look, Volkanovski has shown what giving the up-and-coming guys can become. Because he became a new champion. And he fought Holloway to win that. And then he rematched Holloway, which is fine. Holloway was kind of a long-reigning champion in that division. He had Aldo, Ortega, Edgar. And obviously Aldo again to win the title in the first fight. But then there was Ortega again. You know, and Ortega had a great win. He came back against Sung Jung and all. But, like, it just felt like a new person wins, you fight someone old. Another new person wins, you fight someone old. And, you know, an old challenger like Ortega. I'm not saying Ortega is old or anything like that. And then you get someone like Volkanovski, right, who has beaten Max Holloway twice. My opinion, right, I thought Max Holloway won the second fight. I think if you can go and look on MMA decisions, that doesn't matter, right? My opinion, your opinion, no one's opinion doesn't matter. Volkanovski won both of those fights, right? He moved on, and then you still have him fighting Edgar or Holloway again. They're going to make the third fight, and this is not an attack, and I'll speak about it more in a second. This is not an attack on Holloway or anyone like that, but it is, this division has, in those 7 years since 2015 when McGregor won it, it just feels like every bit of new blood, like Volkanovski and Holloway, has been forced a little bit backwards. That division has had so much talent for so long. It feels like a lot of it has maybe been wasted, even from, you know, different things have happened to different people, going back obviously to lads like even like Mirsad Bektic, and now Yair Rodriguez losing and being out again, and Magomed Sharapov being out, and Kattar losing. But I just feel like there's been a little bit of wastage in that division for so long. Imagine like at Bantamweight. Bantamweight has done a good job of getting lads title fights. Jan got in there pretty quickly after he kind of rose to be the top guy. Aldo got his shot, and now obviously they're fighting again because of what happened, and that's going to happen. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but there seems to be an awful reluctance in this division to move on. Now, a big part of that coming up to the fight we were supposed to have as well was the Max Holloway versus Volkanovski 3 fight. Now, I talk obviously a lot about judging, and I'm pretty sure I thought Max Holloway won the second fight, right? So that's coming from someone who thought Holloway won the second fight. It doesn't matter. The judges scored it for Volkanovski. It was a very close fight. I think everyone would probably agree with that. Whether you think Holloway won, whether you think Volkanovski won it, if you're saying it was a robbery, you're off your head. So we have to, at some stage, we have to move on for a while. No, I'm not saying move on forever. I'm not saying Max Holloway never deserves a featherweight title shot again. But let's get the next level of guys coming. And it done. And you know, people are probably saying here, like, who? Like, who's the next guy? Who's the guy in the win streak? Who's the guy that deserves it more than Holloway? And my answer to that is anyone. Let's get anyone in there. Let's get, and anyone is a bit facetious, but you know what I mean. Let's get, if it's Chikadze, if it's Kattar before the Holloway fight, before the Holloway beating, should he have been put into that fight? Like, why is there not an extra bit of planning done by the UFC to get these guys in there and get the next guy in there to fight in those big title fights at the right time? Like, there's an absolute opposite of a reluctance from the UFC to put guys, say like guys coming through in the UFC, Jai Herbert, for example. He fought Renato Moicano, and like he's his second or third fight, fought someone else. He's fought really, really hard fights. Lots of the guys coming through lower down are getting really, really, really tough fights. But when they're in that position and when they're right up at the top, when they're ranked and have fought, 10 fights in the UFC and maybe 8-2 or something like that, and they're deserving of, are ready for a title shot, they're not being put into that position in the featherweight division. And that to me is really, really, really annoying. Really annoying. And it's, okay, this is obviously a little bit anti-Max Holloway here. And I'm not saying, as I said a second ago, I'm not saying Max Holloway never deserves a title shot again. Like, plan Max Holloway's next title shot. Like, when you lose 2 title fights, whether they're close decisions, whether they're knockouts, whatever they are, maybe in knockouts it'll be a little bit different. But you have to earn your way back in a big way. Now, Holloway's done great stuff, and just looking at his record here over on the brand spanking new Sherdog.com, he's won a very close fight against Yair Rodriguez and an overwhelming, not anything but close fight against Kattar. Maybe saying it was a close fight against Yair is a bit incorrect as well. He won that fight pretty clearly, but it was 2 decision wins after losing 2 in a row to Volkanovski. Like, do we need to rush him back in that quickly? You know? Do we need to rush him in back again? And what's the reason we're rushing him back in that quickly? Like, is Max Holloway a massive star? He's a star. He's probably one of the top, 10 stars in the UFC. But is he like a McGregor level star, a Jones level star who's going to draw them lots of money at the top of cards and things? No, I don't think he is. No, he's a very good fighter, and it would like if the UFC could choose who their featherweight champion would it be Max Holloway? It probably would. Let's not lie to ourselves. But is having one guy who is a really, really good fighter, not taking that away from Max Holloway, and I'll actually speak another little bit about Max Holloway in a second, but to give him a fight when he will probably get that fight or earn it even more in 6 months down the line, to hold up a division, to hold up the next level of challengers coming through, or not even to hold it up, but to give a little bit of new blood, is it worth it for that? I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure it is, especially when it's on a place where you have another title fight as well. And now, obviously, the fight's not happening, so maybe this is a bit of a redundant discussion, but it's not redundant because this has been happening for a long time. And it's also not redundant because look at the next guy who they're trying to give it to. It looks like it's going to be Sung Jung, a guy who is a really, really good fighter and I have the utmost respect for, but he has 1 win since his last loss against Brian Ortega in 2020, where he got decimated by Brian Ortega, and that's against Dan Ige, who is a very, very good fighter, don't get me wrong, but he's ranked number 9 in that division in the UFC's official rankings. It's not like he went in there and he beat Holloway or he beat Yair or Ortega, someone towards the top, or he has like a 5 or 6 fight win streak. He doesn't. And look, he's a legend, and I'd love to see that fight, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the Holloway fight as well, don't get me wrong. But at a certain point, you have to plan for the division. You have to plan for the next people coming through. You have to plan for the health of your organization in the long term. And I just don't think the UFC are doing that. And I don't think they have been doing it in the featherweight division for a good while. Now, do I think Sung Jung, if he maybe wins 1 or 2 more, deserves a title shot or should be in a title shot? Absolutely. I'd love to see him fight for a title again. If Max Holloway, if they had another title shot and then Max Holloway gets back, and obviously I hope he's can get healthy pretty soon and get back in there, win a couple more and fight for the title, absolutely. But I would love to see someone like Holloway. He went up to lightweight before, and I think it was a little bit rushed, and he kind of said that himself as well. Like, why couldn't Holloway go up to lightweight? He has a win, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull it up here, over the champion. He does, Charles Oliveira. Like, go up there, get maybe the Poirier fight, maybe a McGregor fight or something like that, a big fight, and then go in and fight for the lightweight title. Maybe that's something that would be best for Holloway, because he has lost twice. And if not, you can come back down again. It's not just... And the reason I'm saying that is it's not just a case of, well, we've nothing else, we have to make this third fight. And nothing else for Volkanovski 1 and for Holloway 2. Holloway can do other stuff. He can fight other fights. He can fight other big fights. Volkanovski can fight the next guy coming through. He's happy enough. Like, he wasn't all about this Holloway fight. It'd be a lot different if Holloway was a big draw and Volkanovski's like, well, I'm going to earn more money fighting Holloway than anyone else, so let's fight him. I'm happy enough to do that. Like, can we have a little bit of respect for Volkanovski as well? He's won those 2 fights. He should be fighting the next guy coming through. He should be trying to clear out that division going through now, rather than going back and taking out Max Holloway for the 3rd time. I just think it's just... I don't know. It makes no sense to me. And now it makes sense from people who love good fights and it'll be a good fight and all like that. But I think the Sung Jung fight would be a good fight as well. I think if Giga Chikadze wins this weekend, him versus Volkanovski would be a fantastic fight as well. They're all good fights. But the big thing and the big issue, and my whole point here before I move on to maybe talk about this fight and a little bit more, is just the lack of planning. It seems like everything is just, right, we need a fight for UFC number. Who is available, right? Volkanovski doesn't have a fight. Who else doesn't have a fight? Let's get him in there. Whereas, why are they not looking at it as like, right, what's best for this division? Who should be the next in line? Who should we be planning to get in there? Let's say, right, Giga Chikadze has won, I just look at it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. His last 2 wins against Cub Swanson and Edson Barboza. For anyone's money, 2 very, very good guys, 2 guys who've been ranked in the, Edson's obviously been ranked in lightweight for a good while, and now down in featherweight as well, and Cub Swanson the same for years and years and years. Barboza number 10 at the moment in that division. His Cub, I don't think Cub is ranked, but he has been ranked for years and years and years. Those are 2 very, very good wins, with another however many wins I said there behind him as well. Obviously come into the UFC, he's won 4 or 5 now in a row in the UFC. Why not plan around the champion, but with the next contender too? Like, if he beats Kattar, who is now ranked at number 5 in the division, who Max Holloway has, earned his title shot by beating, and no problem. It was a great win and all like that, and then obviously he beat Yair as well. But why not plan, right, that is the guy, that is the top 5 guy. You beat him, then you're in for a title shot. Let's plan Volkanovski. Maybe he has to move back another UFC pay-per-view to have that fight there, to make the right fight to plan. Get Max Holloway's injured now, but let's say if he wasn't, get Max Holloway a fight, whoever it might be, on that card as well. 3 wins in a row on the same card, maybe a finish. Volkanovski wins again. It makes perfect sense then. Like, you've gotten the next contender in. Max Holloway has more than earned it. Okay, he's already earned it, and I know, and people probably be giving out. I've great respect for Max Holloway. I think he's a fantastic fighter. But I think the division is more important than any one person, when that one person isn't like this big draw. And you might not like it, but you could understand it, like a Jones or a McGregor, whoever it might be. I just think that extra little bit of planning, and it's not just the featherweight division. I think it's a lot of divisions, all divisions nearly. But the featherweight division has been one. I read out the fights over the last few years, which is it's just been kind of left to go in a merry-go-round for years and years and years, with the same people fighting each other over and over. It's Edgar, it's Aldo, it's Holloway, it's Volkanovski. Edgar, and even Volkanovski fought Aldo as well. Like, it's just over and over and over again. And let me just read the featherweight division, right? The rankings here. So Volkanovski, Holloway, Ortega, Yair. Who'd not love to see Yair getting a shot? Okay, he's coming off of a loss. Sung Jung, obviously, he'd come in there. Kattar has been fighting very well recently. Look at that win Emmett got the last time. Arnold Allen's on like an 8-fight win streak. Giga Chikadze, I just talked about him. He's a fantastic fighter. Egan Barboza, both very interesting. Bryce Mitchell, the next guy coming through. Sadiq Yusuf, very good as well. Ivalev, that talent there in the last 3 I mentioned. Okay, maybe not all 3 of them are going to come through and get title shots in the next year or so, but why are we not building one of them into a big fight next to get towards the title fight? Burgos, Caceres, like Caceres is, we talk about fighters all the time, and look at the brilliance of Charles Oliveira, where he came from, losing loads of fights to climb back. Alex Caceres is on that time to push now. No, they might put him in there against Daniga and he might get destroyed, or Bryce Mitchell, whoever it might be. But what if he wins that fight? He's another guy you could build up there. Like, to have out of the 15 guys there, and take away the few that I mentioned that have been there for a long time, there's probably 6 or 7 guys there who, with a little bit of planning, you're right in towards a title shot, and right in towards someone getting excited for a title shot. Like, Arnold Allen is a guy, probably the most underrated guy in the UFC at the moment. A fantastic fighter, just beats everyone putting his wake. Why are they not planning to get him? Imagine the next English star. He seems like, I mentioned he's a very good fighter, but he seems online. He seems a really funny guy. He seems like a guy who people like and stuff as well. Why not build him? Why not build Emmett? This great story. I saw he did an interview with someone there in the last week, and he just seems like a guy who has had a really hard time of it over the last while. A brilliant story. Build him up. Build Chikadze. Why not Chikadze this weekend? Why are you not saying, this is the fight? If you win this fight, you're fighting for a title. You'll have won 10 in a row or 9 in a row, whatever it is. You're going to be fighting Volkanovski. He's the best up-and-comer in the featherweight division. Build these guys. Promote these guys. Build your next star, rather than going back to the guys from a few years ago. They'll be bringing Aldo up next and giving him a shot. I really do think the UFC need to move on. They need to plan better, and they need to get their stars right up there to the very top and give them those title shots. When you get to a position where you won 8 in a row and you're beating the guys like Chikadze is beating, and if you go in there and beat Calvin Kattar, you're ready for a title shot. Let's be honest, you're ready for a title shot. Now, if you've had 2 or 3 before, maybe give me another couple of wins, or whatever it might be. But I think the UFC at the moment, it's like the Gaethje thing as well, and I've talked about that in previous videos and other places as well. Gaethje won one fight, a great fight of the year. I'd take nothing away from him, and I'm not saying put Gaethje to the back of the line, but how about put Gaethje to third in line? You know, how about give someone else a title shot? Whether it's Makhachev, whether it's Benil Dariush, or whatever it is. Okay, you want the two of them to fight? Let them fight. Let them fight in UFC, whatever the number is, and 3 UFC pay-per-views later, let's have them fight the champion. Let's plan and do it that way, rather than regurgitating the same old guys over and over again. Let's get these divisions moving. Let's get the next level of fighter in there. Let's get the new exciting fighters in there. Let's the guys who have lost title fights, let them build their way back up. One title fight or one fight should not be enough to build your way back up. Okay? It just shouldn't be, especially if you weren't the champion previously. Now, Max Holloway is a perfect example. He lost the fight, got a rematch, lost again. No problem with that. But getting a third one so quickly, come on. Let's be honest about it here. Come on. We need to move these divisions on. We really need to do. But yeah, that's my rant for that's my rant for this week anyway. Well, let's just to take a quick look, I suppose, at the top fight on the card at the weekend a little bit closer. And the card itself isn't great, but I've spoken a good bit now about Chikadze here over the last while. Massive fight for Calvin Kattar this weekend as well, because he lost to Holloway the last time. Look, if he'd beaten Holloway the last time, we wouldn't be having this discussion. I wouldn't be making this video. I'd have to come up with some other idea to make a video on. Because he would be the guy fighting for it. You can't beat Stevens, Iga, and Holloway in a row and not get it. Okay, he lost as a beat before that, but he's beaten Lamas, beaten Fishgold, beaten Burgos, Feely, other guys on his way up. Has lots of fights, has lots of experience and stuff as well. He would be the guy. Now, if he beats Giga Chikadze, he's very close to being that guy again, because if the Holloway fight's not happening, but if Holloway is out, and if they need the next guy, or if Sung Jung was to win maybe or something like that against Volkanovski, he could be it. Like it's at some stage, if Holloway is out, they'll need a fresh face, you know, or if something else happens, they will need a fresh face, and he could be it. And maybe it's not going to be one win over Giga Chikadze, because you know what happens when someone loses one fight like Chikadze. Oh, he was never any good anyway. So it's a big fight for Kattar, and it's a big fight for Kattar. Okay, maybe he won't, with the one win, he won't be right in there. Maybe it'll take a couple of wins, but as I said, fresh face might actually help him. If it probably won't if past his prologue, but you know what I mean. But for Chikadze, this is the win maybe he needs with the higher ranked guy that will get him into that position, as we previously discussed. So it's a big fight. I was watching a couple of Chikadze fights this morning just when I was preparing to record this. And look, we know what both guys are like. This will be a fight predominantly on the field, I would say, in a kickboxing match, and two guys who hit very, very hard. We saw Kattar in that Holloway fight that he can take an unmerciful beating and an unmerciful amount of damage as well, if needs be. And Chikadze will have to hit him pretty hard to finish him, but Chikadze can hit pretty hard. But I think maybe a little bit of an X factor in this is Chikadze's top game. Now, he doesn't always, I'm not saying he's going to go out and go for like a blast double in the middle of the cage or anything, but sometimes he just ends up landing on the ground, you know, landing into opposition, and he has vicious ground and pound there. And I think that maybe is a part of this fight that will be overlooked by some people, but I think it could be a big part of the fight itself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. If Chikadze wins, if the Sung Jung fight isn't official yet, I wouldn't mind seeing him getting the title fight, and I think it'll be the right way. I think he deserves it. But yeah, the rest of the card, and looking at it here on Sherdog.com, you know, it's not fantastic. Jennifer Maia versus Caitlin Chukagian at 125 in the women's division. Both of them lost to Shevchenko. Will either of them get a title shot with a win here? Probably not. I don't know. A big fight in the men's flyweight division. Did I say women's featherweight? I meant flyweight. Sorry if I did say that. Brandon Royval versus Rodrigo Bontorin. That's a big fight. I'm really looking forward to that one. Not much after that. Court McGee is always in, you know, tough fights. Jake Collier, Chase Sherman. Yeah, and the rest. Brian Keller's on this fight card as well. He's always a bit of fun to watch. But yeah, I think the main thing to look out for this weekend and over maybe the next while is that featherweight division, and how it works itself out, and what the continue to do with it as that division kind of goes forward, because there's so much talent, there's so much, so many good fighters there. It'd be a waste not to utilize them a little bit better. Right, I'll leave it at that. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com. Happy New Year. I'll see you all next time.